WTAD.
Good morning, everyone. Mary Griffith show late but underway. The fire department is on a run, so they can't be here. They're saving lives right now, so we'll have them on next month, and that happens every once in a while. But Randy Phillips is always early because that's the kind of guy he is, so we're going to get Randy on early this morning. Good morning, Randy Phillips.
Oh, no pressure. Now I got to fill time, right?
Yeah, you can talk a lot because today we're going to talk about aviation.
Oh, that's easy.
Specific kind of aircraft and a specific event that is happening. So take your time because it's called a Stinson. Some people will say, oh, everybody knows what that is.
Yeah.
But the vast majority of people out there will go, huh? What's that?
Right.
So Randy, fill us in.
Okay, so the event, real quick, the event is called the Stinson Summit. We have a 4-day get-together out at the Quincy Airport here coming next week, Thursday through Sunday. And basically it's for us owners and operators of the aircraft. But the neat thing is on Saturday evening from 6 to 8 out there, and that's the 16th, Saturday night the 16th, from 6 to 8 p.m., we open the gates up, and the general public can walk out and walk right up to the aircraft, get up close, talk to the people that own them and operate them and everything, and see inside. You know, if you want to get your picture taken with one and stuff, that's cool too. Most of the aircraft that are there are going to be the Stinson 108 models.
Oh, yes. I was hoping the 108 would be
well,
there.
Of course, obviously, yes, yeah.
I mean, the 107's fine, and the 109 is okay, but it's the 108 that I'm most interested in.
Okay, yeah. There will be some of the bigger.
He's about ready to hit me.
Bring like rotten tomatoes and cabbage and throw at you. Also there will be some of the stuff from the 1930s. These are the called the Stinson Gullwing models, the V-77s, the SR-9s, and these are the aircraft that back at that time period, these were considered business aircraft. These were private aircraft for high-paid businessmen to fly around the country in. And if you go online and look up Stinson Gullwing, and it's Stinson, gull like the bird, and Gullwing. Look one of those up and see what they look like. And if you see one of those, you'll definitely want to come out and take a look at one up close. They're beautiful aircraft.
So Stinson is a brand.
Correct.
And they made a lot of different models, including the 108.
Correct.
And so a wide variety of Stinson enthusiasts are coming for this get-together, so there will be a wide variety of models.
Correct.
And what do you own, Randy?
I own a Stinson 108-1.
Ah.
There's the 108. They call it the straight 108, the 108-1, 2, and 3. There's also a 4 that is there's only a very few of those made, and there is one that's called a -5 model, which is it's a long, drawn-out story. Since we've got time, I'll tell real quick.
Yes, please do.
The Stinson Company, the Stinson Company started in the 1920s. In fact, I believe it was 1921 was the year that the aircraft company started. We had our 100th anniversary of the brand several years ago at Oshkosh at the big air show up in Wisconsin, and we got to be parked right up front and look very important and everything. It was a great time. It was really cool. So, the brand started, like I said, in the 1920s, then moved on through. Now I forgot where I was going with this.
Well, you said you had the 108.
Okay, I'm sorry, the dash. Okay, so the -1, the -5 model. The Stinson aircraft was sold to Piper in the late 40s, early 50s.
And that's why we don't hear the Stinson name anymore,
correct,
but it carries on through Piper.
They wanted all the patents is what it comes down to, and they incorporated a lot of the innovations that Stinson had into their aircraft. And there's a company called Univair now, and the Univair Aircraft Company, there are parts, and they keep older aircraft flying. They have a lot of the parts and a lot of the rights to sell the parts for those old aircraft. They built one 108-5 out of existing parts and modified it a bunch for different things. But anyway, the -1 my model is it's basically called a Voyager, and mine is kind of an anomaly because the 1946 year, that was the year of the straight 108, so 108-0 if you want to call it that. But it's considered a 108-1 because as the production line went along in September of that year, they changed over to the next year's production line.
Okay.
So mine came off the factory floor October 31st of 1946. So while it's a Halloween-y airplane, yeah.
How cool for you to have that.
So while it's the model year is a straight 108, the actual aircraft is a -1. So that makes it a little bit of an anomaly, I guess you could say.
Okay.
But yeah, I've had this airplane for 13 years now. I purchased it off eBay, which is kind of an unusual thing to do with an aircraft, you know. Typically, when you buy an aircraft, you go and you get a licensed mechanic to go and look at it and check it out and check for any anomalies, anything that's wrong with it, you know. And if it's in great shape, you go ahead and buy it. If not, you talk to the owner about a price reduction or whatever, or getting it fixed before you get it and fly it. Well, the situation was I had been looking for an aircraft for a while, and I had driven down to Alabama and looked at one that didn't turn out to be anything close to what it was advertised as. And on the way back, a buddy of mine called me up and said, "Hey, you always liked those Stinson aircraft, didn't you?" Well, yeah. He goes, "Well, there's a couple of them for sale on eBay right now. Go take a look at them." Wow. So when I got home, I got online, looked at them, and saw one. I thought, that's pretty cool. I like that, you know. So I put a real low bid on it. And I ended up waiting, and it was, you know, with 30 seconds left on the auction, I bumped my bid up considerably.
Why? Somebody had overbid you.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you started, you didn't bump it up because,
Yeah.
So you went, and then you were like, oh, but I really want it.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and try this, see what happens.
Marcy wasn't looking.
No, well, yeah.
I'm not going to tell her that you said that.
So anyway, I won the auction, but I didn't hit the reserve price.
Oh.
Aha. So I had the contact info for the people that
so you had to haggle.
So well, I called them up and I said, "Hey, look, here's the deal. I won the auction, but I didn't hit the reserve price. Here's what I bid. What do you think?" And they said, "Yeah, it's close enough."
Good for them.
I just bought an airplane.
Yeah.
So it was in West Helena, Arkansas, was where it was sitting at. And so got the money together, got a check ready, and we flew down there. A friend of ours flew us down there. And
you're assuming this will fly because you're going to get it home by flying it home.
Well, I haven't given them the check yet. So if it's not as advertised,
right, but
yeah,
you're going down there thinking, well, I'll either fly back home with my buddy or I'll follow my buddy home in my brand new plane.
Exactly.
And if it goes down, he can at least spot me.
Yeah, he can look for the smoke plume in the distance.
Look for the smoke plume.
So we looked it all over, checked everything out. Everything looked great. Okay, here's the check. And I bought an airplane. Well, we were pulling it out of the hangar, getting ready to go, and he said, "Hey, hang on, there's something that goes with this. Let me go find it real quick." And he comes back out a few minutes later with these two great big red duffel bags. I'm like, "Well, what's that?" And he said, "Well, those are hand-sewn canvas covers for the aircraft in case it ever has to sit outside." Wow. Okay. He goes, "Hang on, there's one more thing. What was that? There was something else." And he went back in the back room and came back out with a pair of headphones. You know, you have to wear headphones because it's a pretty noisy environment in one of those old aircraft. And, okay, well, this is like a $500 pair of headphones. Mm-hmm. Cool. So we go to fill up the tanks before we go, get them all filled up and ready to go. And I said, "Okay, who do I pay for the gas?" And he said, "You know what? The girl isn't here that takes care of that, so just go." Okay. So
Randy, it happened to a nice guy because you're a nice guy.
Well,
karma came back.
I like to tell people that, but not many believe it. I don't think. Anyway, so we took off, and the other little weird thing about this was I didn't have any. This is it's an older aircraft that, if you look at a lot of aircraft today, you know, they have a nose wheel. This does not have a nose wheel. It has a tail wheel, which means it's a whole different kind of taking off and landing procedure. So I didn't have any tail wheel time, but my buddy that was with me, Paul, he did. and he was going to fly it back. We had contacted the insurance company ahead of time and gotten the arrangements. And they said, well, okay, yeah, he can be insured in it, but for the first 3 hours, he's the only person insured in that aircraft. Okay. So we took off from West Helena, Arkansas. We had a fuel stop planned in Rolla, Missouri. We landed at Rolla, Missouri, and when we landed, it was 3.1 hours. So we were legal, and I was insured in case something bad did happen. We were still insured. So anyway, we got it home, and I've had it now for 13 years, and I love that airplane. It's just it's a easy to fly, wonderful old 77-year-old airplane now, coming up on 78 years old. So it's I just adore the heck out of it.
We're listening to Randy Phillips. He is an aviation enthusiast. He's also, frankly, the best commercial photographer and commercial production guy in the entire tri-state area. That's what he does for a living, so he can afford to buy airplanes. He has brought the Stinson Convention to Quincy first last year. Now they're back this year. We're going to take a break for the farm markets, but just in case people weren't listening, when is this convention? When can we see these airplanes at Baldwin Field?
Next Thursday through Sunday, September 14th through 17th. They'll be parked out there Saturday evening, the 16th, from 6 to 8 p.m. You can actually walk up to the aircraft, see them up close, and talk to the people that own them.
Okay. Randy's going to stick around. We're going to talk more aviation and the Stinson aircraft. But first, let's head up to the Ursa Farmers Cooperative and see what's happening on the farm markets and listen to this announcement from the Friends of Unit 4. They've got a great weekend planned for you. We are back 20 minutes away from Fox News at the top of the hour. My dear friend, media man, Randy Phillips is here. Randy, let's real quick. I'm going to give you a free shout out for your business.
Oh, okay.
Because you are the man. If anybody, my cousin, we're having a family reunion. My cousin Patty goes, I found this guy. He's all the way over in Tyler, Texas. I'm going to have to drive over to send him our videotapes, but he's gonna turn it. I said, I want to say, oh, Patty, I wish I'd have known. You could have sent him to Randy, and I could
bring him here. Yeah, heck yeah.
But anyway, you do something that people do from all over the United States. Send you stuff to do, but local people can have it done too.
Right, yeah. I own a company called Randy Industries. I've been in video production now for over 40 years. I used to work at one of the TV stations in the area here. I used to direct the 6 and 10 o'clock news there, and got downsized one day after 18 years. So I said, okay, watch this. And went out and started my own business and have run that off and on successfully for quite a few years now. I do any kind of, stuff for TV, radio, corporations. I do industrial educational videos. I've got several big projects running right now. I do a lot of voice work for real estate shows all around the country because of my wonderful voice. And
he even used to give me a chance to use my wonderful voice.
That's true.
It hasn't happened for a while.
It hasn't been much going on like that. Yeah, media has changed a lot in the last 10 years. Yeah. But then also one of the things I do is I do transfers of home movies and old videotapes, old 8mm films. I just got from one of the retired teachers at Quincy High a couple of reel-to-reel videotapes, half-inch helical scan videotape. And I've never had one of these machines. I know they exist. I've seen them, but I've never been able to have one of these machines because they're rare. I mean, they're exceedingly rare. This was footage of the very first play that was put on at Quincy Senior High 2, which is now Quincy Senior High, back in 1973. And it was black and white footage, and I have a contact down near St. Louis that has one of these machines. And I took it down to him, and we transferred it off and got it back, and he's going to now hand this out to some of his friends that are still alive from that era.
I was going to say my cousin Mark, who's passed, I'm sure was probably in that show.
Well, there was two tapes. There was that, and there was another tape of basically in the music room there, and they were trying to get some of the freshman, sophomore to get involved in the arts and stuff like that. And one of the kids up front that was talking there, I looked and I thought, man, that guy looks familiar. And I kept looking and listening and stuff, and I heard him say the name Larry. And I thought, I know. And I got a freeze frame of it and sent it to him. He lives out in California now. And I said, is this who I think it is? He said, yep, sure is. This is a family friend of mine for years and years and years and years, and he lives out in California. And he was like, what is this? I said, well, here's where it was from. He goes, my God, I remember doing that. So there it is.
Gee, I wish we could find It's a Marshmallow World in the winter. We recorded that out at Neiman Pony Farm on a snowy day. I know it exists somewhere.
I just the other day, just day before yesterday, transferred a VHS tape of Quincy Community Little Theater's production of Shenandoah, and I think it's from '84.
Oh my gosh! Wow. Well, we'll have to come back and talk about those things.
Okay.
Because Randy is excellent. So Randy Industries, if you need any kind of video production or you found something and you don't have an 8-track and whatever it is, Randy can make it happen. But back to Stinson Aircraft.
Airplanes.
Okay. So you are a Stinson owner. How many Stinson owners are going to be coming to Quincy?
Right now we have a pre-registration setup form on our website and everything. We have looks like about 40 to 50 people are going to be here with at least 20 aircraft. That usually always changes. People sometimes just show up. So we're expecting in the neighborhood of between 20 and 30 aircraft out there. And again, well, here we go. But 78 and above year old airplanes. There's every chance in the world that if it's bad weather, this ain't going to happen at all. It just simple as that. For some reason, people are reluctant to take nearly 80-year-old aircraft up into bad weather. I don't get it. But
well, will yours at least be there?
Yes. Oh,
There'll
absolutely.
be one.
Absolutely.
One grounded, lonely Stinson straight 108.
Hanging with water dripping off the wings. So no, we're expecting good weather. We had great weather last year, except for the Saturday night. There was a little wind, and one of the guys actually his tie down came loose on his wing, and it's still over in a shop in Jacksonville.
Oh no!
When they started tearing into it, they started finding all kinds of problems from past incorrect repairs, and so he said, let's just go ahead and tear it down to the bones and start from scratch. And it's been there over a year, and coming up on a year now that it's been there. And when it gets done, he's going to have a beautiful airplane.
The thing about this is it's a great hobby. This is one of those bet on Quincy, trying to get people to come to Quincy.
Right.
This hobby, this convention had been out in Nebraska or someplace.
Kansas.
Yes. And it simply outgrew itself out there and needed a bigger airport facility. Quincy has that indeed. And so Randy, through his membership in this group and through this bringing seed money. Now, the city is still giving you a little bit of seed money the second year.
Yeah, so real quick, we used to have this in a place called Beaumont, Kansas. If you look it up on the maps, you'll see this little tiny dot in the middle of absolutely nowhere. It's a town of 24 people. It was a town that back when there was stagecoach days, there was a stop on the stagecoach, and there was a hotel there. And then when they started bringing cattle through on the trains and the steam engines and everything, the big gigantic wooden water tower is still there. The hotel obviously has been renovated. They've made additions to the facility there, and they have a building out on the side where you could meet. But the cool thing is, it had a grass runway. You would land on this grass runway out on the edge of town. You'd get everything secured. You'd taxi out onto the road. You'd taxi right down the road, right into the middle of town, stop at the stop sign, look left, look right, make sure and go on through there and pull over, and there's a big parking lot across from the hotel. You'd park over there, and you'd tie your airplane down, and you would literally taxi into the middle of town in this town. And that was standard procedure. That's how you did it.
Don't you wish we could do that in Quincy? You could have a parade down Main Street with all the Stinsons just on the ground. Wouldn't that be fantastic?
Well, it'd be cool, except for all that spinning propellers and kids running out and things. Other than that, it might be a very neat thing to have. But anyway, but yeah, we loved that facility out there, and it was a really cool place to go. But it just simply didn't have enough accommodations for all of us. Last time I went there, I slept in my car for 2 nights. So we moved it here to Quincy, and the Bet on Q program helped us out to bring it here. And we got another grant this year. They have capped it now on 2 years worth of grants for any event.
So if we're going to have this the third year, the Stinson people have to be happy with Quincy. Are they happy with Quincy?
Pretty much, yeah. We like the facility, and we like the accommodations we've had and everything. And this year, along with all that, as we have arrivals on Thursday afternoon, the Sea Quincy with Holly Kane, they're going to give us tours of some beautiful old architecturally significant houses here in town.
Fabulous. And
then we're staying at the Stony Creek, and we'll go back there and order some pizzas and probably sit in the bar for a little bit. enjoy ourselves there.
Because it's a small group of people that have these airplanes. So like you said, you're going to have 40, 50, 60, 70 people that are congregating for your convention. But you're nice enough to let us come and look
absolutely.
at your airplanes.
Well,
you never know who might be the next enthusiast.
Well, you've got something that you've spent a lot of effort and time on keeping it in the air, keeping it airworthy. And, you kind of like to show that stuff off a little bit. I gave this talk just the other morning at a little event and stuff, and I said, those of us that own these aircraft, we don't consider ourselves owners. We consider ourselves the caretakers, the custodians of these aircraft, because they're a piece of history. They're a piece of living history. And then, like I said, I've got the logbooks for this aircraft from the time it rolled off the factory floor. I can tell you in 1948, it was in this town, it was doing this, it was doing that, or whatever, all the way up through today. And it's something that has lived through this history, and you can go back and read that. And if you're into history at all, you can see neat things and what was going on, and know that maybe when President Kennedy was assassinated, this aircraft was in Texas or whatever, wherever it's at.
And so you keep this record. Mm-hmm. And Randy, this is a strange question. You have no children.
Correct.
So where will the Stinson go post Randy? Not that I hope that's for a very long time.
Yeah. No, at some point I will have to sell it, and I will find a person that is the right person to take it over and carry on its legacy. That's just how it works. Yeah.
Some young child listening to the Mary Griffith Show right now is going to grow up and have a Stinson someday. We're going to take a break. When we come back, our conversation will continue with Randy Phillips. The Stinson Convention is coming to Quincy in 1 week. They'll be here next Thursday. And you can see their aircraft at Baldwin Field, and you can interact with the pilots and learn a lot more. We'll be back to recap, tell you all about it in just a minute. Our remaining moments with Randy Phillips, aviation enthusiast. The Stinson Aircraft Stinson Summit is coming up next week in Quincy at Baldwin Field. They'll be arriving on Thursday. So if you just want to go stake out a claim at Baldwin Field and watch these beautiful antique aircraft as they arrive. On Friday, of course, it's their convention, so they'll have all these technical seminars. On Saturday morning, if you want to see them aloft, get out there early in the morning. They're taking off for a pancake and sausage breakfast in Havana, Illinois.
Yeah.
So you can see them all depart kind of simultaneously or somewhat simultaneously. But the big event, I guess, for the public is 6 to 8 next Saturday night. Not tomorrow night, but a week from tomorrow night. 6 to 8, the open house at Baldwin Field. The pilots will be there, the aircraft will be there, and they're perfectly willing to show you their recreated glories. And Randy Phillips, you are you're a flight instructor.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about how that fills in with all of this Stinson stuff.
Well, I've been a commercial pilot since roughly early 2000. So I'm going to forget the exact date, but I got my commercial rating, which consists of a commercial rating and a multi-engine rating and a high-performance aircraft rating and a complex aircraft rating and a bunch of other stuff like that. But I about 3.5-4 years ago, I thought I need to go ahead and finish up and get my flight instructor rating. So I went back and I started studying and hit the books, and went away to a school for about 5 days just to concentrate, to get away from everything. In fact, I told Marcy, my wife, I said, if the house is on fire, call me. Otherwise, don't. I got to study this. And the written test, there was 3 different written tests I had to take. My oral exam that I had to take with an examiner was about 5.5 hours long. And then I had to go and do a 2.5-hour flight test and prove that I could fly the plane not only from the pilot seat but from the co-pilot seat, which is where an instructor would sit, and do all the maneuvers that were correct for that procedure. So that was when the guy said, well, exactly what he said was, he goes, okay, I think that's about it. Take us back to the airport, and if you don't kill us landing, you passed. I said, okay. And, well, I'm still here. So that was a pretty big day in my life. I really had been wanting to do that for a long time, and it was a huge accomplishment and something that I've been pretty proud of. So what a flight instructor can do is obviously teach people to fly. The other thing a flight instructor can do is go out, and people that already have licenses go out, and every 2 years or so, depending on the situation, every 2 years or so, you can go and get with a pilot that has already have their license and do a recurrent training, what's called a biannual flight review, and take care of them that way. I'm kind of an anomaly because I have my tail dragger rating, so I can fly my aircraft, an antique aircraft, so I can also teach in that and do reviews in those type of aircraft, which there's not as many of those kind of flight instructors around as there is just regular nose wheel conventional. I shouldn't say conventional gear. Conventional gear is the antique aircraft with modern gear aircraft. So
wow. So you're even more learned than I knew.
Yep, sure I am.
Besides flying your Stinson for enjoyment, real quick, how often do you go up in the air in this aircraft?
As often as I can. Let me put it that way.
Is that once a month?
I try to do every couple of weeks at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you also, you're Video Man, you're Randy Industries,
Right.
and you also do these other commercial jobs. Name a machine, name a kind of aircraft you fly when you're being a pilot, and if you don't mind, maybe some of the companies. It may be confidential.
I have for the last 6 years I've been a first officer with Dot Foods and their corporate jets.
And what do they fly?
They fly an Embraer Phenom 300. They have a Citation CJ3 Plus and a Citation Mustang. They've kind of changed their policies, and my time as a first officer with them is pretty much over with at this point. But there's 2 other companies in the area I fly with. I have done a bunch of stuff with Quincy Recycle, and I'm starting to do some stuff with Sharkey Transportation here in the area.
Good for you. And if the Radio Ranch ever gets a jet,
yeah, there you go.
You'll be my first officer.
Okay.
Steve will be handing out peanuts back in coach. But you and I will be up. I loved it. Real quick, Prince Harry was on the Colbert Report.
Okay.
Of course, this is a rerun because they don't have any new programming. And he was asking him all kinds of questions. Colbert was quizzing Harry, and he said, aisle or window? And Harry looked him right in the eye and said, cockpit. Which is what all airline pilots say.
There you go.
They want to sit in the cockpit. Okay, folks, the Stinson Summit. See these ancient 80-year-old aircraft in beautifully restored shape. Your best chance to see it is not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow, 6 to 8 at Baldwin Field. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
Fox News keeps you informed.